Hey guys, Levelcap here, and if you haven't heard by now, Battlefield 2042 has been delayed to November 19th. Early access pre-order customers will get the game now on November 12th, and more info about beta dates will probably be released next week. DICE has delayed the game because the ongoing pandemic prevented them from getting back to their offices before launch. They're taking extra time to polish the game. Leading up to 2042's reveal, EA made a big show of the fact that DICE were given an extra year to develop the game. Multiple studios were brought in to assist with the development, and even the next Need for Speed game was delayed so that Criterion Games could help out. DICE also made it clear that with the end of support for Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 5, many of those devs would come on board to help out with 2042. So from the studio's perspective, they were throwing everything but the kitchen sink at the game, but that still wasn't enough to deal with the slowdowns caused by the pandemic. And at first glance, the situation could seem uncomfortably familiar. Battlefield 5 had a nearly identical delay, however, those circumstances were very different. Multiple games over the past year have been delayed due to the pandemic, and many of them have still launched with major problems. Cyberpunk 2077 is probably the standout example, but also other games like Returnal and Outriders, the latter of which had such a rough launch that the devs had to manually give out rewards as compensation to most players. Considering Battlefield 2042 is being developed for 5 separate platforms, including 2 console generations, that makes it an incredibly big project, and there are rumors that hands-on time with the game has been a rough experience. It's impossible to say from our perspective how much an extra month will make to the overall finished product. About a day or two before this delay announcement, leakers like Tom Henderson were speculating that there would be a launch delay. Other leakers are saying early hands-on previews of the game, especially on the PlayStation 5, show clear evidence that a delay was necessary. The closed technical playtest was also an absolute mess, according to people who broke the NDA and revealed info about their experience. And this is in stark contrast to what developers have been saying over the past few months, and also since the delay was announced. Shortly after the playtest, one developer tweeted about playtest going well, saying, "We can't wait for the open beta to get steamrolled by you guys." Another developer replied to somebody on Twitter who was comparing the delay and messy launch of Battlefield 5 to the current situation. The developer said that it's a fair comparison, but we were in a different phase during Battlefield 5 when it got delayed. I'm very optimistic and I've worked through quite a few releases already. And again, to be fair to DICE, comparing the launch of Battlefield 5 to 2042 does seem like apples and oranges. In hindsight, it's really no surprise that Battlefield 5 launched in the state that it did. The game was allegedly put together in 18 months. The single-player prologue was literally developed in 6 weeks. And since support for the game was dropped, we've also learned that there was a ton of internal division about the direction of the game. TTK 2.0, for example, was supposed to be built around the implementation of an armor system in the base multiplayer, but that aspect of the game was canned due to disagreements, so there was half-baked systems implemented in the game that were supposed to benefit from other systems that never made it into the game. By comparison, at least so far, it seems like everyone at DICE is on board with the direction of 2042 and that they were probably working on it well before Battlefield 5 even launched. Rumors were floating around that DICE were developing a new modern military FPS during Battlefield 5's post-launch support. Some suggest Battlefield 5 was rushed to market following the internal cancellation of a Battlefield Bad Company 3 title, and it's possible that that project was then used to develop Battlefield 2042. Now, concerns about the design of 2042's heads-up display seen in the recent Specialist Overview gameplay footage were also addressed by a developer, saying that hit indicators are very much a work in progress in the footage that you saw, and they're going to change for the open beta. These are elements that we save time for iterating on, usually at the end. That specific gameplay footage was previously shown to media back in June, and reports suggest a lot of elements were updated between now and then. Other developers working on 2042 also tweeted saying stuff like, "The extra time will allow us to polish the last parts of the game to the quality that we want it to be. I'm having so much fun developing this game and can't wait for you to play it." Another tweet says, "We all dream of making the best Battlefield ever. I am sure we are all going to have fun playing it together once it's out." And of course, obviously, it's not like DICE DICE developers are going to come out and say that the game is in a bad state and that they're worried about the launch, but the tone of the conversation is very different compared to Battlefield 5's delay. During Battlefield 5's run-up to launch, developers were saying stuff like, "Don't like it, don't buy it." Official messaging regarding the delay also mentioned issues like player visibility and gameplay balance. By contrast, the 2042 delay announcement and dev tweets make it sound like they're wrapping up work on bug fixes and UI polish, not core aspects of the gameplay. Of course, the general public hasn't yet had time to play the 2042 beta, so it's possible that that tone will change after a beta play session. A lot of the negativity surrounding Battlefield 5's launch came from the fact that people were actually getting to play the game and give feedback on it, where with 2042, the complete lack of alpha and beta play sessions has allowed the public to have really no idea of what kind of state the game is in. So what does this delay mean for players aside from the fact that you're not getting the game for about another month? Ultimately, it's tough to say without having a beta for the game. Most Battlefield games do launch with issues. Battlefield 4 was so prone to crashing at launch that just finishing a single round was impossible for many players, and that was assuming that you could even get the game to launch. Battlefield 1 was one of the more polished launches, but it still had significant balance and networking issues for its first 6 months. And it's safe to say that Battlefield 5 never really fully recovered from its off-putting gameplay reveal and historically bad launch. At the end of the day, it seems like the beta for 2042 will be the best chance we have to judge the game prior to launch. The two things that concern me the most were how rough the closed technical playtest appeared to be from people leaking their gameplay. Whether or not the build was months old or not, it was seemingly capped at 30 FPS, and some people were not even able to get that. Plus, the complete lack of alpha and beta tests when compared to other Battlefield launches is a little bit concerning. Even with Battlefield 5 that was so rough at launch, they still gave us plenty of time to play the game leading up to launch, so the fact that we haven't had any sort of public play sessions does make me wonder, well, how rough is the state of the game right now? Are they trying to hide things from the public so that it doesn't reduce hype for the game? Now, on one hand, leakers, influencers, and other industry insiders have big concerns following recent hands-on time with the game, and DICE have been slow to release more gameplay footage or trailers. On the other hand, DICE devs sound optimistic about the launch, and everything DICE have shown via official channels does look stunning. And the only potential issue that we've seen in any of the official trailers is this shot from the Portal influencer partnership videos where the game looks like it's struggling to maintain a stable frame rate. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think. Obviously, judging this launch compared to other Battlefield launches is difficult because the pandemic has slowed things down for everybody. Games all over the map are having rough launches, delayed launches, buggy launches because of the pandemic. DICE was given a lot of extra time to develop this game, and early on the developer tone indicated that they were ahead of schedule and feeling pretty good about things. However, the game is now being delayed, so it seems like a lot could have changed. The nature of this pandemic has been very hard to predict, so it's possible that the developers were predicting an easier production timeline and not being slowed down by unforeseen developments in the pandemic. So I will try my best to give DICE the benefit of the doubt in this situation. The beta, again, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, is going to be one of the most important betas in Battlefield's history. It's going to be the only look that the public have at the state of the game before launch, and a lot of opinions are going to be based around this beta, especially since it's happening so soon before launch and we're really not getting any sort of alphas or multi-beta stage leading up to it. Going to be a very, very important state for the game. I'm just as much in the dark as the rest of you guys. I know some people out there think that I or some other influencers know a lot more. There's probably some people out there that do, but I'm being very much honest in saying that I really have no clue what to expect with the launch of this game. I'm still very much excited to play the game, but I will be in no way surprised if it is buggy leading into launch or at launch. Let me know what you guys think. Where are you? Are you hyped up for the game? Are you starting to get more concerned about the game? Are you a diehard fan who's going to buy it and play it no matter what happens? Or does the beta actually impact whether or not you're going to buy the game? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.